Hi, my name is Robert Reiss. I'm a Los Angeles Recording School graduate. For my thesis project, I decided to undertake post-audio for 2 short films, both of which were directed by my friend Ruth West.
Hi, my name is Ruth West. I am the director of Moth and You Got Mail. We finished these productions and we headed into post-production, and we found that we really needed a lot of help in the sound design. So I ended up taking my projects to Robert.
And both of the projects were very interesting, and I was really charged to work on them. During that time, I was also going to the recording school in the accelerated program, and I rarely found time to get to them. But as I was learning more in the recording school, I found that I was able to apply what I learned in class directly to these films and just make them that much better, culminating in their completion for this final thesis.
The first one that you're going to see is You Got Mail. It's based off of a blonde joke that actually my grandmother had sent me. I had gotten such a good laugh out of it that I'm like, oh man, this would be great as a short film. So I hope you enjoy it in the same laughter that I did.
Has the mail come yet?
Not yet.
Cheers.
Is everything okay?
No! My stupid computer keeps saying, "You've got mail!"
You've got mail.
Well, I hope you enjoyed You Got Mail. It was a fun shoot to do.
Yeah, one of the things that was so interesting about doing the You've Got Mail post was the fact that there was that ice cream truck in one of the shots during the montage, and it was in the actual production audio that was captured by the boom.
In the background we had an ice cream truck, and I actually really liked how it was in the background. So I kept on bringing it to Rob. I was like, okay, well, I really like to keep that sound in the background because it does show like a passage of time.
And I thought, okay, well, I would want more control over it rather than using the production recording. So I decided to go out and record an ice cream truck. But every time I tried to put it in to the final underlying background, it just clashed with the music that I had already written.
You know, he worked with it, and I wasn't sure exactly how it was going. I was just like, well, if it becomes too much of a problem, I guess we can nix it. He's like, no, I can work with this. Hang on, just give me a little more time. I'm like, all right.
So eventually, I just decided to make the ice cream truck music a part of the score with the exact same tempo, and practically made it a part of the score. So I decided to give that a go, and actually wound up working pretty nicely.
He comes back and he shows me this thing, and we have the ice cream truck music incorporated into the score. I was like, oh, this is so great! Look at that! And so it just really complemented the film so well. I was really glad about it.
Next we have Moth, which was a little bit bigger of a production. It's a longer film, about 7 or 8 minutes, and it's a really, really awesome psychological film.
Yeah, Moth is a psychological drama about an introvert and how he's just very paranoid, and he loves just filling his mind with just all sorts of information. He reads the tabloids, and he has a really wild imagination, and sometimes if you don't control that imagination, it can drive you nuts. So, anyway, this is my film Moth.
Interview with patient 1415, age 22, Ray Benson. How are you feeling today, Mr. Benson? Mr. Benson? Mr. Benson?
Yes.
Can you tell me again why you are here?
Why I'm here?
Yes. Tell me again how your day went before you arrived here.
My day began wonderfully until a little white moth was fluttering by my head.
Coming up next is Hoffman in the early morning at 6.
And look out, this is Hoffman in the morning, coming at you, filling your early morning commute with music to help it just fly by.
I poured myself a bowl of cereal.
First off, I have a dedication. This first song goes out from Peter.
Can you turn that down, Ray? I'm trying to get some sleep.
Butterfly Kisses. Butterfly Kisses I always thought was a really sissy name for a band, but you know, the girls are just boring in their concerts.
I was listening to the radio, and I could almost hear it. That voice.
Your time is valuable. Double the efficiency of
I finished pouring myself a bowl of cereal, the Blind Puff Rice kind. And if you ever notice, sometimes in the Puff Rice cereal, there's those little burnt brown pieces of rice. Gross. I was reading an article, and it's true that these actually are pieces of rice overdone in the puffing process, which produce toxic chemical changes. Which should be no surprise considering they are injecting toxins into our food supply.
Tomorrow at 2, the wedding event of the century on People and Passions. Lola and Tony finally exchange their vows, but will both of them say I do? And how will Rico react? Tomorrow at 2 on People and Passions.
There are many choices for dining out. Don't choose anything less than first. Dantes has provided a quality dining experience.
I was reading a similar article and was about to chew a good-sized mouthful
Delicious Italian.
when I saw one of the pieces of rice had wings.
What are you doing now?
What if the life you lived is a lie? And that life is...
I turned to see where that demon spawn mother moth had fled to, but I couldn't find him.
I thought you were dead.
sorry to disappoint you.
My mess. My mess on the floor, I have to clean it.
Poison.
Can milk be harmful to growing children? Tune in tonight for the answer.
Vile Imp probably filled each piece of puff rice with some sort of biological toxin, in hopes that I would come down this very day at precisely that moment to take over my home as his base of operations. To this moth, I was a preliminary test, the first of many to be contaminated by them, for the eventual extinction of the entire human race. Oh, why didn't I see it? I should have registered the meaning of the moth's presence sooner.
I should have known!
What kind of monster did this?
A butcher taunting police with coded letters left at the scene of the crime. Catch the beginning of this all-new exciting miniseries on
could feel the vile mother moth burrowing his way into my brain, seeking his means to enslave me. I could hear his wings fluttering against my eardrum like an arrhythmic satanic cultist drum.
How many times have I said, no knives? Freaking psycho.
I'm losing control. Please, they must be warned. If you see a pretty little moth, run!
How many times have I told you? No knives.
I should have known!
He wasn't lying. Moths are your friends. They mean you no harm. Go to sleep.
Stop the interview. Nurse, this man needs to be sedated.
What?
Never mind now. Just give him 6 doses of morphine and sertraline.
Doctor, I'm not sure.
I want that patient sedated now!
Sir, that much will put him in a coma.
It is for the greater good. He already knows too much.
Wasn't that a trip? I hope you enjoyed it. That is my short film, Moth. It was based on a short story written by Andrew Carpenter, a good friend of mine back in New York. And when I read the script, I just thought it was this loony, fun short story. And it was funny because in the original screenplay, we didn't have so much of the radio there. We had like that intro of him listening to the radio, but the radio kind of like continuing on in the story and just hearing these different commercials come up was actually Robert's idea.
Yeah, one of the things about Moth that made it not too insane, but just a really daunting project for me to undertake was the fact that it was my very first project in which 95% of the dialogue was told through voiceover. So as opposed to just syncing up the dialogue to time code and a slate and just walking away from it and moving on to the next element, I had to sit there sometimes with Ruth and sometimes by myself and think, okay, where should this narration go where it can move the story along yet not interfere with any of the actions that he's doing, like knocking over dishes or swatting at it, opening the freezer door. And the big challenge to that was we had narration, but we had 7 minutes of film, and the narration left huge gaps where the story was just not moving, and there was a lot of nothing, nobody was talking. So I realized there was a radio in the script. So I thought, why not make the radio another character? Since it is on anyway, he never actually turns it off, he just turns it on and leaves it. So why not just make the radio another character and have it give him little hints, and so you hear all these commercials, but it can actually tell him little things about the moth or warn him, like when he initially opens the cabinet, the radio tells him to look out as the moth flies past his head. And so I think that wound up filling up the space and just moving the story further a little bit easier.
And I think that actually added to what I loved about the film was how many layers there was, because even though there was no on-screen dialogue other than for the roommate, you do have the voiceover. So you have the voiceover there, the interaction with the voiceover there, just him remembering this event, and then him actually playing it out and going through it step by step is slowly going insane. Over like a moth, that we're not sure is ever really there. Was this all part of his imagination? Or was it actually there?
And the last line of the film kind of gives you the hint as to whether or not it was real. So those were our two films. Hope you enjoyed them, and hope you continue to have a great day at the movies.